I've never been afraid of death. You could even say that I sought after our encounter. The things I've always excelled in the most have always had me flirting with my demise. Perhaps there's someone in death that seeks me. My story may seem unbelievable, but it's true. I'll start from my beginning so that you will know who I am in the end. Let's begin with my introduction. I am Luke Hart. For as long as I can remember, I have struggled with my identity. What I do know is that I was born in America to James and Elizabeth Hart. But beyond my birthplace and parents' names, I know nothing extraordinary about my life. The most real things I know outside my foundation are my dreams. I can't remember the last time I had a typical night's sleep. Two dreams in particular have been reoccurring for months now, so vivid I can tell you every single detail, right down to the taste of the air. The first is of a woman. She calls me to her, and the passion that exudes from her lips when we kiss. She smells of the sweetest flowers, her skin like satin, and her lips taste like pure candy and a miracle. Yet, if there were ever words that could paint her likeness, I would silence my tongue in fear that what I would say would ruin a masterpiece and describe her as is. A dream. I don't know who she is, maybe a figment of my imagination, a wish I so long came true. Or is she a foreshadowing of love? All such bliss is a blessing, knowing that our time is limited to my slumber breaks my heart. Yet, ironically, during these bittersweet encounters, I never sleep better. The second dream is much different. I am standing on a sandy pitch in front of thousands of screaming people. They are cheering for me, as if in the worship of a god. I can't make out the name they call me, or even my location. But the roar of the crowded knights as soon as I salute them is palpable. Before long, it dies away, no more than a whisper. The fog rolls in, and the sky begins raining warm rose petals that kiss my skin before they hit the ground. I catch a few. The petals don't stay intact, they immediately melt, and soon I'm almost entirely submerged in a warm pool of blood. As it rolls over my face, I can no longer hold my breath. Overwhelmed, I accept the inevitable. As I am drowning, I wake up. When I die in my dreams and awaken in the world, it's like being born again. But being born repeatedly makes you lose sight of who you are. Maybe I never really knew. My father, Sergeant, as I often call him, was in the army, which makes me an army brat. He wasn't so hard on me in enforcing protocol and discipline, because I didn't need it. He worked hard and was busy, so I never saw him as much as I wanted growing up. When he was home, we had a pretty decent relationship, but my parents were young when they had me and are still very much in love. So I never felt I was a priority for them. He spent his downtime mainly with her. To say my mother is diligent would be an understatement. She is a successful graphic designer who managed to expand her business as we migrated. She tried the stay-at-home Stepford wife thing, but quickly got bored with that role. My father was always on base or missions, and I was at school most of the day. So she needed an outlet, and of course, daytime TV and cleaning didn't cut it, primarily since everything was clean, because the house was still spotless from the day before. It's hard enjoying morning soap operas when you can't speak the language of the show you're watching. Being an only child was hard for me. I was generally alone most of the time. I was lonely if I wasn't with my mom and dad. Although they never could quite understand what I was going through. I've lived in 6 countries and have attended 15 different schools. I was a bit of an introvert, the only one around my age who spoke English, and from early on, I've noticed that I am different. I was never an all-American guy. When I reached my teens, I looked more like and had the attitude of a bad boy, dark brown hair, lean muscular build, and a few tattoos. I had a lot of misguided aggression. I was really into sports. I love my competitive nature, but my knack for and inclination toward fighting separated me from others as a child. I have above average gifts. Exceptional strength, acute reflexes, balance, tremendous instinct, and a high IQ. Why? I don't know. It could be genetics, but while my parents have their talents, their abilities pale in comparison with mine. There were times when I thought, maybe, I was an alien or a mutant. You know, like the characters you read about in comic books. That perhaps arriving here on Earth was a last-ditch rescue effort by my actual biological parents, who sent me on while our distant home planet was under attack and destroyed. Whatever the deal was, I embraced my gifts and mastered them. I learned some combat skills from my dad. First, he showed me some hand-to-hand techniques the army used for training the soldiers. Then, when I was 11 years old, I began formally training in mixed martial arts. For 6 years, I practiced hard and honed my ability, but there was something still missing. I can't recall how, but I found myself competing in organized fighting events, the unsanctioned kind. These offered quick money, large purses, and a rush every time I stood in front of a would-be opponent. But I was good at it. It brought me out of my shell and made me comfortable being around people. I experienced these foreign countries from an entirely different perspective not many would ever see. The bouts were run by the shadiest of people, drug dealers, criminals, people looking for a quick buck, and a lot of it. They accommodated business people, lawyers, and high-ranking officials, as well as criminals like themselves, people with money who had more than enough to throw around, and were major fight fans with even bigger gambling addictions. But, when you're dealing with sketchy characters in even sketchier environments, you're bound to run into a few dilemmas. And, I ran into a big one. It all started when I defeated the #1 earning fighter in Rome. A drug lord named Edmund Cross, who held ownership over the #1 spot on Interpol's top 10 most wanted list, owned this fighter. When I won, Cross lost, and lost big. I left the guy I fought mangled and dazed. Cross was out something like $200,000 American. If I figured the exchange rates right. At the time, I held an underground fighting record of 29-0. I wasn't a criminal by any means, just a kid who felt alone and loved to test my will. I got caught up mingling with the wrong crowd. It came with the territory when you did what I was doing. For my protection, the sergeant applied for reassignment stateside and was granted the transfer. My parents were surprisingly thrilled, seeing how, until then, they'd never taken much interest in my extracurricular activities. I can't remember us ever packing so fast for any move before. Before I knew it, we were heading for the US. On our way home. Landing at Newark Airport, I couldn't help wondering how I was gonna maintain my sanity in the Garden State. How does one go from living in Europe to living in New Jersey? The most noticeable difference is the culture. Europeans exude a sense of place unparalleled by anything American. Every country that I had lived in owned who they were. Traditions, history, social values. In America, you will find people who are proud to be American. Still, it's impossible to have a single identity because many different types of Americans call this country home. The one thing that makes the country great is the same reason it's divided. It took some time to adjust, but it turns out New Jersey isn't so bad, I guess. We've moved to a quiet middle-class town that was very diverse. Old Town is like something out of a black and white television show. The houses all sit on lots with well-manicured lawns, white picket fences border the properties, and every neighbor knows the other's names. At first, my parents enrolled me in private school, thinking that it would keep me out of trouble. All it did was waste a trimester's worth of money. I registered in the local public school mid-year. Fighting was automatic grounds for expulsion. Go figure. I didn't fit in there from day one. There was no way I was wearing a blazer and khakis every day. Having just turned 18 in my mid-junior year, I once again found myself a new student. That made the count of new schools 18. I transferred to the public high school in the town my parents and I lived in and found it a little more my speed. There was a wide range of people there. They were interested only in partying and dreading life after high school. You could sense the teenage angst in the air. Once I felt it, I knew I was home. My first day of school was the day I met McKenna. They say you can, at any point, pick your head up, take a quick look, and recognize true love, love at first sight, archaic and fanciful. Today, many people believe that personal encounters are no longer the best route for finding love. You need to first have background checks, preferably with 3 references and a bachelor's degree. If you're still in high school, you shouldn't believe in love at all. Just hook up and settle for someone who is an excellent business merger when the time's right. Who needs love? You end up getting heartbroken. People don't realize you can't avoid life. Experiencing real heartbreak makes you stronger, and it makes finding true love so much sweeter. You know what love at first sight is, because, when you see that person for the first time, the world stops, and you wonder why it seemed so meager until then. McKenna did just that for me. She is exactly my type. 5'9", perfect skin, athletic build, captivating angelic eyes, long brown hair, and she froze time when she walked by. You may not believe this, but it wasn't the first time we'd met. 5 years ago, I met the daughter of one of the sergeant's colleagues and best friends. Like me, her father was in the armed forces. Her name was McKenna Parker. I remember this because, even at 13, I immediately knew she was my soulmate. I wouldn't see her again though, until I was 17. I was walking through Rome one night, on my way to a fight. And caught a glimpse of her hailing a taxi outside a tiny cafe. I called her name over the bustling city sounds. I yelled until I was hoarse, but couldn't get her attention. I never got another chance to look for her. That last fleeting encounter happened the same night my underground fighting career caught up with me. I couldn't stop myself from staring when she entered my first period class. I was ecstatic when I found out we shared the same teacher. I've been pining over this girl, who is still a mystery, after all this time. Is this seat taken?
Nope, it's all yours. You're new here, right?
Yes. I'm Luke Hart. I just transferred from prep. Actually, it was more like I got kicked out.
Bit of an oversharer? Well, Luke Hart. I guess I'm gonna have to watch out for you. I'm McKenna, by the way. McKenna Parker. I just moved here, a few months ago, from Florida. My dad is stationed at Fort Dix.
We have too much in common for this to be pure coincidence. What are the odds that we would meet again in all places, New Jersey? Fate has brought us together once more. All it took was this one encounter for McKenna and I to hit it off. At the end of the school day, I walk McKenna home. We quickly found out that we share many similar interests. Music, movies, food. Even our horoscopes read. This is one of the most heavenly matches for you because you share a near psychic ability when you communicate. At times, all you gotta do is look at one another to let each other know what's up. McKenna's house is large and white, with dark gray tiling and a covered porch in the front of the house. I escort her up the walkway until we reach the front door. She searches through her bag until she finds her house keys.
Okay. So, how does one get kicked out of private school within 3 weeks of being there?
For fighting, if you could even call it that. The situation ended with me cleaning out my locker and a couple of star football players being rushed to the hospital with a few broken bones and minor scrapes. Nothing big.
So I guess you're a fighter? I can't say that I ever would have guessed that. Maybe you could give me some pointers sometime?
I knew she was the girl from all those years ago. But, does she remember me? That I left as much of an impression on her. You don't remember me, do you? It's been 5 years now, but our fathers introduced us once before at a black tie event in Paris.
Yes, I remember you. Honestly, I've always hoped I'd get a chance to see you again.
Would it be alright if I called you sometime?
Give me your phone. Here. Now you've called me sometime.
I walk down the steps towards the sidewalk.
See you tomorrow, Luke.
Lying in bed at night, I can't stop thinking about the first day of school and McKenna. I can't recall being so obsessed about anything in my life other than fighting. My phone vibrates. I have a text coming through. It's from her.
Thanks for the walk home. I guess second impressions are everything.
I almost can't believe McKenna is interested in me. I've got to build on that foundation. New Jersey is really looking like a great place to be.
Hey. Would you do me a favor? Can I borrow your calculus book? I think I left mine at home.
Of course. What are you doing Friday night?
Nothing, why?
Want to go out with me? Maybe dinner and bowling?
Dinner and bowling? I would have thought you'd say dinner and a movie, but it's different. I like it. It's a date. There's the bell. Guess I gotta get to class. See you later?
I'll see you in class. Friday night couldn't have come fast enough. I was so eager for our date. All week I've been trying to game plan how I'd act during the date. It wasn't my first, but McKenna makes me nervous. I hope everything goes smoothly. I pull up outside her house at 7:30 and turn off my car. The purr of my Hemi V8 engine is so loud it can wake the neighborhood. I send McKenna a text letting her know that I am outside. I'm so nervous. We saw each other every day in school, but this is different. This is a date. I am officially changing the dynamics of our relationship, trying to take it to a romantic level. If I mess up, who knows how our relationship will change. I've got to get a grip on myself. We've both hoped this day would come for the longest. As long as I am myself, the person she knows and likes, nothing can go wrong. 5 minutes goes by before the front door opens and I see McKenna walk out. She looks so cute. She wore these ripped denim jeans with a floral pattern drop waist cami and white flats. The perfectly tied French braid rests over her right shoulder. When McKenna gets in the car, I can tell she put on the same sweet-smelling perfume she always wears. I can't get enough of it. Every time she is near, I get a tantalizing sensation of flowers and candy.
Where are we off to first?
I figured we would go bowling first, so we can work up an appetite. Then go grab some Chinese food.
Nice. This is exciting. I'm excited.
The car ride is excellent. We talk, make jokes, and tell each other stories about our experiences. I am comfortable with her, at peace. She is genuine, and I trust her wholeheartedly. The feeling that I get when she looks me in the eyes can only be described as ecstasy.
I've been meaning to ask, why bowling?
Because, if we were in the movies, then we wouldn't get a chance to talk, and I want to get to know you.
Fair enough. I hope you're ready for me. You should know I'm pretty good. Can you bowl?
I'm not half bad.
Well then. I have an idea. Why don't we make this interesting?
What do you have in mind?
If I win, you have to be my personal slave for a month.
That doesn't sound bad. You have a deal. And what happens when I win?
If you win, you get whatever you want.
If I win, I want you to kiss me.
Well, I guess you won't be getting a kiss tonight.
6 strikes and 4 spares later, it's time for me to collect. What's wrong?
I hate losing. You hustled me. I'm not half bad. What's with the pro spin?
I'm sorry if you feel misled by my modesty. I guess you can say bowling is a hobby of mine.
Whatever.
She grabs me double-fisted by my shirt and kisses me. Our lips purse together, locked in a passionate, breathtaking moment. It was the most incredible kiss of my life. Ready to eat. I took her to a new place called the Asian Bistro, a modern restaurant and the perfect intimate place for a first date. We sat on the outside patio, surrounded by stands of bamboo and illuminated by strings of star-like lights. There is a large hanging lamp, off-centered in the shape of a white paper ball, that looks like the moon. Usually, in this part of Jersey, stars can't be seen because of the ambient light. But tonight, right through the simulated starry night, the Milky Way made a special appearance. As if the moment couldn't have gotten any better, music starts playing in the background.
This is one of my favorite songs. When I first heard it, I knew it would always be the background music of my dreams. I would play this and imagine dancing with someone who would make the moment last forever.
Hoping I can make that dream come true, I extend my hand across the table. Dare to dance. McKenna accepts, and I escort her to the dance floor. I swear the last 2 years of my high school experience were like an 80s movie montage. Days meshed together, and time was flying faster than ever. In 2 weeks, we became a couple, and I loved every second. I could have sworn John Hughes was directing my life. She kept me out of trouble, and I showed her a few fighting techniques. She is a natural. I couldn't have wished for anything more. Before I knew it, we had graduated and were on our way to college. McKenna and I were both accepted into Yale. I didn't think it suited my personality, but wherever McKenna was, that's where I was gonna be. I continued training as hard as I had while I was still living in Rome. Despite not having been in an actual fight since I was in Europe, I can't explain how much I longed for it. Not the whole part about nearly being killed by a sore loser drug lord, no, but I miss the rush I get from testing my ability against someone who is set on destroying me. I guess I haven't felt truly challenged in a while. I am itching for a fight. Perhaps I'll find one soon.